Cats are curious. That's not a stereotype. It's a fact. Anyone who's ever owned one knows that if there's a box, a bag, or an open door, your cat's probably already halfway through it. But every now and then, a cat's curiosity doesn't just lead to the top of the fridge or the neighbor's garden. Sometimes, it leads to a 1,200-mile journey across Europe. This is the story of a black and white cat named Ushuaia, temporarily renamed Pierre, who disappeared from his quiet life in northern France and ended up in the back of a lorry, crossing borders, sneaking through customs, and somehow winding up in the English countryside. It's a story of confusion, kindness, and one very unexpected international reunion. It started like a lot of pet owner nightmares do, quietly. One day, Ushuaia simply didn't come home. No noise, no struggle, no sign of distress, just gone. For his owner, Nicole Swillard, this wasn't totally unusual at first. Cats wander, they explore, they nap under porches and slip through hedges. But as the hours turned into days, and the days stretched into weeks, the hope began to dim. Flyers went up, neighbors were asked, local shelters were contacted, but there was no trace. And slowly, the heartbreaking possibility settled in. Maybe he wasn't coming back. What Nicole couldn't have known was that Ushuaia hadn't wandered into a nearby garden. He'd climbed into the back of a haulage lorry. And he wasn't just out of town. He was heading across the continent. Now, no one knows exactly when or where Ushuaia slipped into that truck. It might have been at a rest stop, a depot, or even right there in Calais, the port town on the northern coast of France. But what we do know is this. By the time he was found, he'd traveled over 1,200 miles through Italy into the UK and finally ended up in Shropshire, England, a quiet region known more for its rolling hills than for stowaway cats. The lorry driver had no idea he had a feline passenger, and Ushuaia, for his part, stayed silent the whole way. It wasn't until April 7th that he was discovered, found alone, disoriented, and definitely far from home. When the cat was brought into Southwater Veterinary Group in Telford, the staff had no idea what to make of him. He was friendly, alert, not in any obvious distress, but also, he didn't belong to anyone. They gave him a temporary name, Pierre, a nod to his very French demeanor. He quickly made himself at home, settling into his routine of health checks, cuddles, and stealing hearts. Practice manager Rachel Harvey remembers the moment he arrived. It was quite a surprise, she said. No one had any idea where he'd come from or how he'd managed to sneak his way into an HGV. But then came the breakthrough. He was microchipped. His chip was registered to a French database, and that was the first clue. From there, it became a bit of a detective story. The vet staff contacted international animal health authorities, sent out emails, and even used Google Translate to piece things together. Finally, they traced the chip back to Nicole, Ushuaia's original owner. And when they got her on the phone, there was only one reaction: relief, which was quickly followed by disbelief, then tears. Her cat was alive, in England, and waiting to come back home. Nicole immediately made plans to get him back, but it wasn't as simple as hopping on a train and picking him up, because Ushuaia had crossed international borders, including the UK, which has strict quarantine laws for animals. The reunion had to follow protocol. First, he spent 2 weeks in isolation at the vet clinic in Telford. Then, another 2 weeks quarantined at a facility in Dover, ensuring he posed no health risk before being cleared for return. Through it all, the vet staff cared for him like he was one of their own. They fed him, played with him, and learned his quirks. Rachel said, "There was a hint of sadness among the team when he left. We'd grown to love his company. There's something undeniably charming about a cat who accidentally takes himself on a European tour. But there's also something deeper here. Because if Ushuaia hadn't been microchipped, this would have ended very differently. He might have been adopted out. He might have ended up in a shelter, misidentified as a stray, or worse, he might have never been claimed at all. That tiny chip, the one piece of information he couldn't explain, couldn't meow out loud, was the key to getting him home. And it's why stories like this are more than just cute. They're reminders. Practical, clear reminders of what makes reunions like this possible. After nearly 2 months away, Ushuaia was finally released and reunited with Nicole. He's back in France now, sleeping in his old bed, sitting in windowsills, living his quiet cat life like nothing ever happened. But you can bet he's got stories about the roads of Italy, the lorry across the channel, the friendly strangers in England who gave him a new name and kept him warm until he could come home. Nicole still can't believe it. She never expected to see him again, let alone get a call saying he was safe, healthy, and waiting for her in Shropshire. So here's to Ushuaia, or Pierre, depending on who you ask, the cat who took a detour through Europe and somehow found his way back. And here's to the people who made it happen. To the microchip, to the vet who scanned it, to the receptionist who ran Google Translate, to the driver who unknowingly gave a stray cat the ride of his life. If you liked this story, or if you've ever lost a pet or been part of a reunion like this, hit that subscribe button, because sometimes the best adventures aren't the ones we plan. They're the ones we survive by accident, with a little luck and a lot of kindness.